Welcome into Northside Territory, Foul Territory Network's Cubs podcast. I'm Sahadev Sharma with my partner, Patrick Mooney. We are your Cubs beat writers over at The Athletic. Patrick, the Cubs offense is rolling. It is as exciting and as potent as any in baseball. And I don't think there's just one reason why. Like this is, let's get right to it because I think there's it's not really like I think they're pretty good. Like they, like the stats are there. They're all there to tell us 6.27 runs per game. That's point 0.6 more than the second team, the Yankees. Like that's insane right now. They're doing everything well. I remember in one episode I talked about swinging like not chasing and attacking in the zone. Those numbers are getting better. Like
Wow.
they're swinging more in the zone now than they were when I first brought it up, whatever, 2 weeks ago. Like they're awesome at that. They take walks, they hit for power, they hit for average. They lead baseball in batting average. Um, and it's not like a crazy BABIP, it's above 300, but it's not insane. It's like there's just so many things as a team that you look at and you're like, okay, that's impressive. Not everything is sustainable. Not everything is going to be the best in baseball. They're not going to average nearly 6.3 runs a game this season. I think that would probably be a record. But it looks like a pretty damn good offense, and there are a lot of reasons to believe that it can continue to be a really good offense.
It is just staggering watching some of these games, just going back to last September, how the season ended, this idea of like Wrigley sort of playing like Seattle's ballpark, how tough it was on left-handed hitters, particularly Cody Bellinger, going back to that series, the Yankees came to town and Juan Soto and Giancarlo Stanton hit some just like rockets that just sort of like died in the outfield. You anticipate what the weather will be like in April in Chicago. That's been pretty nice recently, but the prior homestand just brutal. Cubs still putting up huge numbers. You look at the schedule, some of the best pitchers, pitching staffs in baseball, doing it against that level of competition, it's kind of mind-boggling. And you were always kind of the optimist on this offense. It's exceeded everyone's expectations. You wrote a great piece on this for The Athletic. What are your kind of 2 or 3 bullet points right now? Like, what is happening?
Yeah, I mean the obvious one, and I don't think you should like gloss over it or bury the lead. It's Kyle
Yeah,
Tucker, right?
yeah,
I mean, we
yeah.
knew he was going to be impactful. We knew this. Like this was not a surprise to us. The second they added him, um, this was a monumental addition. The rumors when they came, we were like, if this happens, this changes a lot, right? It changes everything for the team. It is not. He is Listen, Cody Bellinger is a really good ball player. This is not comparable. This is Cody Bellinger when he was at his best, is what this player is. And Tucker is a game changing force. You can debate how much he impacts the entire lineup. I think there are. I think he clearly helps guys like Seiya Suzuki. I think he clearly helps the people like right around him. But he himself is just this truly impactful player. He had the game-winning homer on Friday, right? That was the go-ahead homer on Friday, and then he had a huge homer on Tuesday. But the two comebacks, he was a key part of it, right? It's just I don't know what else to say other than he is a superstar. He's playing like a superstar. And when you add one of those to your lineup, there's just something that happens that makes it all that. I think there are a lot of good players in this lineup. I think without Kyle Tucker, this would be a slightly above average offense. Kyle Tucker takes it to another level. And I think we just cannot gloss over that. And I think it's foolish to try and dig much deeper than that when talking about this. Like, that is the first thing you have to mention. Kyle Tucker is a superstar. The Cubs added a superstar. End of sentence.
No doubt. And that is why I think our buddy John Greenberg, said this, like, thank you, Jed Hoyer, for giving us an ongoing story all season. Will they or that won't they? What's the offer going to be like? Where is this going to go? I mean, just Kyle Tucker putting enormous pressure on the Cubs, making himself a lot of money for the future just by being the man. I mean, being the type of player that the Cubs have not had for a long time, the missing piece that we had all talked about for years of what's going to take this to the next level. It is Kyle Tucker, period. And at the same time, though, he's only one guy in the lineup. And I think you're seeing this bottom of the order come together. And you've written about this. You've been kind of working ahead on this as well. Just the catching situation. What are we seeing there? And is that, as at least part of that, sustainable?
Yeah. So, like, I this was the one that I didn't feel super confident in entering the season. It was kind of like that wild card of like, well, it can't be as bad as last year. And I think that's what you have to avoid. I think my thought process was, well, they're not going to be awesome, but if they're not 29th or 30th, that's how you avoid, these huge lulls. Like, just be middle of the pack. I think this is an area that we may see some drop off, but not. I think there's some. I think there's reasons for legit optimism. Miguel Amaya looks like he's taken some real strides. Like, what happened at the end of last year? What was it? The final 3-ish months, 2.5-ish months. He made a change with his stride, right? You have to wait and see. That's one of those things that I need to see it before I believe it. It's great. Make the changes. Good. Put in the work, especially in the middle of the season. If you're able to pull that off, I'm impressed. But do it again, right? It's really hard to do it again. He looks like a really good ball player right now, all around. Gets a lot of compliments from the pitching staff. And you saw what happened on Tuesday. He had the big home run. It's nice to see him continue to develop and look like similar to that player that we saw at the end of last season. He's a quality offensive talent. Carson Kelly, look, he's not going to hit like Barry Bonds. You and I both know that. I think fans understand that for the most part. I do think it's interesting that this is a former top 100 prospect that was highly thought of. His issue has never been like, this guy is a mess at the plate. He chases and he makes terrible swing decisions. That has never been the problem. Go back and look at his numbers. He's had some really big walk years. He's patient. He doesn't swing and miss too much. He's actually improved in that area as his career has gone on. I think what's happened over the past 2 years is he slowly made more changes with his swing. He was not happy with how he was impacting the ball. I think he's had it. I talked to him about this. He had some wrist issues, hand issues. I think maybe multiple times he's had that happen, and that's kind of screwed things up. He about 2 years ago now, he gets a year and a half now, he decided to make some pretty major mechanical changes. The goal was to get the ball in the air more often. His swing was not how he wanted it to be. He was not in the zone with his bat. You want to be long in the zone, quick through the zone is what I think they say. And he was just not long in the zone. His bat path was a mess. And it was really, he was like way too much on the ground. Made some tweaks. I'll likely write about this soon to get the details, but made some tweaks and he's elevating the ball more and impacting the ball more. So I think the reason I think there's reason for optimism, again, he's not going to, whatever it is, like this insane number that he's putting up, this 1500 OPS or whatever it is that's not going to happen, right? I don't think it's even going to be like close to 1,000 or 900, but if it's like 750, you will take
It's a
that,
nice
right?
player. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good player. Um, and I think there's reason to believe that it can kind of like he can be that type of player because the swing decisions are there. If you make the mechanical changes and you stay healthy and you buy into them and you trust them, that's another thing he said. He's like, it can be hard, right? He's like, I just had to find something that I was convicted in. Like this is what I believe this. He continued to fine tune things this offseason, and he feels even better about it. I think when you're confident in where your swing is, if you're in a good place mentally, you're in a good place physically, and you have the mechanics down, you made the right changes, good things can happen, right? I think that's a big deal. The catcher position was a black hole last year. Jan Gomes, you catcher. It happens with catchers. They get into their 30s, deeper into their 30s. Things just fall apart quickly offensively. It's hard. It's a hard position, and it's an unforgiving position. And Miguel Amaya was learning on the fly. So it's you know they didn't address it probably how they should have, but now they have, right? It was a priority. We talked to so many people in the front office that
Yeah.
it's like we don't come away from this offseason with someone to help Miguel Amaya carry that load. That's the other thing. I think we should give Craig Counsell credit for just like he's not someone was and I think our buddy Jesse Rogers asked him, um, like not that he needs to play more, not that you want to expose him, but do you need to find ways to play Carson Kelly more? And I appreciate the question. Jesse wasn't like trying to say like you have to play him all the time. He was just saying like, is this when someone does this, do you need to look at ways like maybe get him at first base or DH a little bit more, something like that. And Council's like, yeah, it opens your eyes, but also like Jesse uh, Jesse's point was like part of why he's probably succeeding is the way you're playing him, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's true. I think the way you're playing Carson Kelly, the way you're playing Miguel Amaya, and that's what they wanted. They didn't want to expose these guys, and like catching is unless you have like the Cal Rally, you just don't want a guy out there too much. Like it can really drain them. It can and by August all this offense that we're talking about is gone. So if this is a good 50-50 mix where these guys are both in the 700 to 800 OPS range, I think that's a huge win, and I think that's a way that keeps this offense sustainable.
Amaya's adjustments and emergence are important because it ties into Pete Crow-Armstrong, and it shows you just the benefit of time. As Council said, this is the best pitching in the world. There's nothing else like it anywhere else. You have to go through a season, and you have to have good coaches to help you get through there. And I think the Cubs hitting group, which has often been maligned and at times scapegoated over the years, they found a way to help Miguel Amaya get better in real time in the second half of last year. They also did it with Pete Crow-Armstrong. Now, there are different maybe ideas or messages or techniques, but overall they needed to see growth from certain young players, and Pete Crow-Armstrong right now is just looking like a star. Like if he can hit just a little bit, he becomes that much more valuable. If he hits a decent amount, he's a star. And if what we've seen recently, if there are more and more flashes like that, you're talking about like an annual MVP contender. Now we're a long way away from that,
Yeah. But
but you've seen the flash of like, wow, like this guy is different. The way he runs the bases, the way he makes difficult plays in center field look easy. And then just the power from really like small dude who looked overmatched when he first came to the big leagues. It's kind of astonishing. And I think you've seen, and we're going to be writing about this on The Athletic, of this group of veteran players. Pete Crow-Armstrong really trusts them. I think there's been a lot of encouragement from the coaching staff as well as his peers. You have a manager and council who had told him just focus on defense and stealing bases when he got up here, but has also like challenged him, like if you put your glove on the ball, catch it. And, like, and to not sort of resign yourself to be, a one or two dimensional player. It's to, have your talents come out in full force. And I think we're already seeing that, like the national attention on Pete Crow-Armstrong.
Yeah.
Like if the Cubs make a run this year, he is kind of the Cub most likely to become a star. Like you can already see it. Like people gravitate towards him. Fans like watching him. I think fans also like, I'm sure Dodger fans will like booing him. Like
Oh,
he's
yeah.
just like, he's interacting with the fans in the Wrigley bleachers, making highlight reels. Like this is, it happened super quick, right? I mean, in the middle of April, this guy was struggling, and then all of a sudden, it clicked. And there's going to be more ups and downs, but I think you're seeing a guy who's very young. But when you talk to him, and as you talk to him regularly, he's very mature, very insightful, very self-aware in ways that may not be obvious if you're just watching, 3 or 4 second highlight clips.
Yeah, I mean, he is currently third in WAR in baseball. Aaron Judge has a big lead. Corbin Carroll's at 1. This is according to Fangraphs. Corbin Carroll's at 1.8. Pete Crow-Armstrong's Corbin Carroll's at 1.9. Pete Crow-Armstrong's at 1.8. If you would have told me he's right there with Corbin Carroll, I did not expect that.
No.
I thought flashes. If this lasts, I mean, yes, superstar, MVP candidate, one of the best players in the game, just an electric talent. The offense is obvious. Like when you watch it, like that, the impact that he's having right now. When he hit that 3-run shot into the basket, I kind of just like looked at the reporters next to me and I was like, really? This kid's doing it again tonight? Like he's so good right now, and he's locked in. He's confident. And I agree with you on how he was, the numbers weren't there in April, right? In middle of April, just whatever, 10 days ago, they weren't there. And I appreciate that he has that support system and that he didn't allow himself to get in a negative space. Cause I never thought that the process wasn't wrong. I wasn't seeing him chase like we did a year ago.
Yeah.
I wasn't seeing him look like a mess at the plate. So it's nice that he stuck with it and as frustrating as this game gets, stick with that process. You're doing the right things. He has a hitting coach that will make sure that will tell him that. He has veterans that'll make sure that'll tell him that. Like you hit the crap out of that ball, man, they will start to fall or they will start to go over the fence, and they have. I think that's important to hear that message. Listen, look, I know we're talking about offense right now, Patrick, but his defense, I have not seen that. I've not watched a center fielder like that. I just haven't, like not on a daily basis. I'm not sure there are many like that, first of all, but the Cubs haven't had one, that's for sure. Probably since Kenny Lofton, as far as just like being able to do this, but he's faster, right? This is just like the plays he makes every single time. I look up and I'm like, he's there. Or you watch him from the start, crack of the bat, he's moving and he's covering so much ground and he makes these plays look easy. And I swear, if you're watching on TV, you're not fully appreciating how difficult these plays are. There are plays where there should be multiple more runs on the board, but he is making it look easy, and he is saving this team and saving the pitchers so many pitches, so many runs, and it's just it is really impressive. He makes it look easy. I hope like my assumption is because of advanced metrics now and everything, like it won't go overlooked. It's not possible to go overlooked. That's part of the reason why that WAR number I shared is so high. He's an all-around force, and he stole 2 bases on Wednesday, like, and he's going to continue to do that. And you're right, like he is obnoxious to opposing fans and probably the opposition. Dave Roberts, I think they have a long history. Dave Roberts was joking about how like he owes me some golf balls and a bottle of wine or something like that. He's kicking my butt all this season. It's really fun to see this happen. Like I think we're watching we're potentially. I don't want to get ahead of myself because there's a long season, and he will hit a slump at some point. But is like we potentially are watching the emergence of a superstar, because if it's close to this, like you're right, national attention. He's got the personality. He's gonna make headlines on the field, off the field, all of it. He's got it all, and it's really fun to watch him when he's at his best.
One more thing, kind of taking the long view here of, obviously we reported on the contract extension talks that both sides tabled, that Pete said he wants to focus on baseball. There's no like rush here, but I think the way to think about it is all those things you just mentioned, Sahadev, give him a very high floor. Like his worst case scenario, if he stays healthy, is like being a 10-year big leaguer.
Right.
And if he taps into that offensive potential, like he doesn't have to show it like every year through 2030. It's like if he just has a couple of those, the payoff would be enormous. Like, free agency, a lot of it is about kind of timing. And in that regard, timing is absolutely on his side. That, you put up good numbers here. I mean, look at how the Cubs signed, Dansby Swanson or Jason Hayward. It's like you put together that 1 year where it all comes together, and it's just pays enormous dividends. And I think this is happening faster than probably everyone expected, to where he is looking like a guy who might be able to carry an offense, even though he doesn't have to on this particular team.
Yeah, that's a thing, right? Like you look up and down the lineup, and it's just so deep. They didn't have, say, a Suzuki who's dealing with a little wrist thing day to day. They didn't. He was scratched on Wednesday, and they still go out there and score 7 runs. Like because Pete's emerging into a star. One guy we haven't mentioned is Michael Busch, and I think he's, like you're talking about a middle of the order now of Kyle Tucker, Seiya Suzuki, Michael Busch. I really felt like he had a chance to step forward and become a little bit more impactful. He had a great rookie season, but this is what you want to see, right? Like Council says it all the time. Like you learn from the league and then you make, tiny little steps forward. Right now he's great, right? He's truly like very impactful. I don't, we'll see where he is at the end of the year, but he was one of those guys. Like I had no clue what catcher was going to do. I did not feel strongly about that. I like Pete Crow-Armstrong. Thought he was going to have a good season. He is exceeding expectations. Michael Busch was my guy in spring training. He was my pick to break out. I said, I think this guy's going to have a really good season. So far, that's looking accurate. Well, like I said, long season, but I thought Wrigley kind of held him back last year. Wrigley's playing much more normal this year, not always blowing out, not always blowing in. It's normal Wrigley so far. We'll see how he keeps it up, but that's a really scary 2-3-4. As long as his wrist doesn't linger, if he can get fully healthy, even if he can just play through it, I guess, and it doesn't keep him from impacting the baseball, it should be fine, right? He hit I think he's done well for the most part since then. At least he's impacted the baseball pretty well. So I mean, just like there's up and down the lineup, there are success stories right now, and I think and Council made this point, and I think it's important to make. Dansby Swanson needs to get going. He needs to start hitting, and he needs to look like himself. But this is why you have this is how good teams do it, and it made me think of the Brewers last year. Go look at the numbers for the Brewers last year. They're all okay. Like the offense is all okay numbers, but there were like month-long stretches. It's like, is William Contreras an MVP?
Yeah.
Is Christian Yelich an MVP? Is Jackson Churio an MVP? Because they all took their turns, and the other Christian Yelich got hurt. Okay, Jackson Churio is turning into a superstar. Like you have these moments, right, where guys step up and become these types of players where it looks like they're superstars. So month long, 2 month long, whatever it is. You hope it's 6 months, and that's probably what Kyle Tucker does, right? He's probably going to be pretty steady and have a full season of it. But guys are going to step up, guys are going to take a step back, and you just need others you need Dansby eventually to be the guy that he can be, and carry the load for whatever it is, 3 weeks, a month, whatever. And then hope he kind of gets to his career numbers.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt he's a streaky hitter. Justin Turner maybe showing his age a little bit. Say his wrist or some of the nagging injuries. I think that's something definitely to monitor. Third base is, I think, what did Jed call it? Like a bit of a revolving door. I think that was probably a kind way to put it. So, it's not perfect, but I think you would certainly take it. If you're rewinding back to Mesa, I mean, you still have some top 100 prospects in the upper levels of your farm system. Like that's kind of a card. Those are cards you can play in different ways throughout the summer. But yeah, all in all, just kind of a unbelievable start to the season for this offense.
Yep, 3 against the Phillies. Another solid offense. I'm not sure how the Phillies are playing offensively, to be honest. I think that's actually where some struggles have hit for them. They're the middle of the pack overall as far as offense goes. Probably not good enough for what their fans expect. Still, some scary bats in that lineup, and you never know when a team like that with that type of talent goes off. Kyle Schwarber is a stud right now. I think Castellanos is actually having a pretty good season, start to the season. So we'll see some former fan favorites. They're still fan favorites. Hopefully you and I get a chance to chat with some of those guys too, because they always have fun things to say. All right, Patrick, we'll be back next week. We'll see what the Cubs do with the Phillies. It's going to be another fun weekend at Wrigley. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. This is Northside Territory, Foul Territory Network's Cubs podcast. Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe. Subscribe to the YouTube channel where Patrick and I are on video now. Make sure you check that out and see our beautiful faces. I'm sure you want to do that while eating breakfast or hanging out with your family. Just put us on in the background and we'll keep you company. And make sure to subscribe to The Athletic, where Patrick and I are on top of all things Cubs. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. Take care.